Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge of his massive warship, the Celestial Dominion. His forearms crossed behind his back as he watched the stars through the main window. The ship was huge, almost 5 miles long, and covered in shining metal that reflected the light of distant suns. Its weapons could destroy entire cities with a single shot. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered 47 star systems in the last 200 years. Every alien race they met either joined them willingly or was forced to submit. Kethvar had never lost a battle. His fleet was the strongest in the galaxy. "Admiral," said his communications officer, a young Zephyrian with bright green scales. "We are picking up a signal from the edge of our patrol zone." Kethvar turned his large head toward the officer. His yellow eyes narrowed. "What kind of signal?" "Unknown origin, sir. The ship appears to be primitive. Metal construction, chemical engines, and what looks like ancient projectile weapons." The Admiral walked to his command chair and sat down. The chair was massive, designed for his 8-foot frame. Around him, dozens of officers worked at glowing control panels. The bridge was the size of a football field. "Show me," he ordered. A large screen appeared in the air above them. It showed a ship that made Kethvar want to laugh. The vessel was small, maybe a quarter-mile long. Its hull was dark gray metal, scratched and worn. Smoke came from its engines. Strange towers stuck out from its surface, each one ending in what looked like primitive gun barrels. "This is what threatens the mighty Zephyrian Empire?" Kethvar asked. His officers laughed. The communications officer spoke again. "Sir, they are sending us a message." "Put it through." A voice filled the bridge. It was calm and clear, speaking in the common galactic language. "Unknown vessels. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Navy ship Indomitable. You have entered human space. State your intentions." Kethvar stood up slowly. In 200 years of conquest, no alien had ever asked them to state their intentions. They were the Zephyrian Empire. They took what they wanted. "Open a channel," he commanded. The screen changed to show the interior of the alien ship. The bridge was small and cramped. Strange creatures sat at control stations. They had only 2 arms and 2 legs. Their skin was pale pink or brown. No scales, no claws, no natural armor. They looked weak. One of them stood up. It was female with short black hair and dark eyes. She wore a simple blue uniform with metal symbols on it. "I am Admiral Kethvar of the Zephyrian Empire," he announced. "You will surrender your vessel immediately and prepare to be boarded. Resistance will result in your destruction." The human captain looked at him for a long moment. Then she smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "Admiral, this is human space. You have 30 seconds to change course before we consider you hostile." The bridge of the Celestial Dominion went silent. Then the officers began to laugh. 30 seconds? This tiny ship with its primitive weapons was threatening them? Kethvar raised one of his 4 hands. The laughter stopped. "Captain Chen," he said, "you do not understand what you face. This fleet has conquered worlds. Your small ship cannot stand against us." 20 seconds, the human replied. Kethvar felt his anger rising. No one had ever spoken to him this way. He looked at his weapons officer. "Prepare to disable their engines. Do not destroy them yet. I want to board that ship and show them what happens when someone defies the Zephyrian Empire." "Sir," his sensor officer called out, "I am reading strange energy signatures from their vessel. Their technology is different from anything in our database." "It matters not," Kethvar said. "They are primitive. Look at their ship, metal and chemical engines. We have conquered species far more advanced." 10 seconds, Captain Chen said. Kethvar watched her face on the screen. She showed no fear, no concern. She acted like she was in control of the situation. It made him even angrier. "Time's up, Admiral," she said. The screen went dark. The human ship had cut communication. Kethvar turned to his tactical officer. "Deploy 3 frigates. Disable their engines and weapons. Minimal damage. I want prisoners." 3 Zephyrian frigates separated from the main fleet. Each one was twice the size of the human ship. They moved forward with elegant grace, their hulls glowing with energy shields. These were warships that had destroyed entire fleets. On the main screen, Kethavar watched the human ship turn to face the approaching frigates. Instead of running, it moved toward them. Its strange gun turrets began to rotate. "Foolish," Kethavar muttered. "They are going to fight." His communications officer looked confused. "Admiral, why are they not fleeing? Every species runs when they see our ships." "Because they do not yet understand their situation," Kethavar replied. "They will learn." The 3 frigates took formation around the human ship, their weapons charged, creating bright blue lights along their hulls. The plan was simple: a coordinated strike to disable the primitive vessel's engines and weapons. "Sir," the sensor officer said, "the human ship is powering up some kind of defensive system." On the screen, they could see a faint shimmer around the human vessel. It looked weak compared to Zephyrian shields. "Pathetic," Kethavar said. "Begin the attack." The 3 frigates fired at once. Brilliant beams of plasma energy shot toward the human ship. These weapons could melt through asteroid rock in seconds. They would easily penetrate whatever primitive defenses the humans had, but something impossible happened. The plasma beams hit the human ship and simply disappeared. They did not bounce off or get absorbed. They vanished as if they had never existed. "What?" Kethavar stood up from his chair. "Replay that. What happened to our weapons fire?" The tactical officer worked frantically at his controls. "Sir, the energy readings show our plasma hit some kind of field around their ship, but the technology is completely unknown. It is not like any shield we have ever encountered." Before Kethavar could respond, the human ship fired back. The sound that came through their sensors was like thunder. The human weapons did not fire energy beams. Instead, they launched solid objects at incredible speed. The projectiles moved so fast they appeared as streaks of light. The first Zephyrian frigate, the Swift Victory, took a direct hit to its center section. The metal projectile punched through its shields like they were not there. It tore through the armor plating and exploded inside the ship. The Swift Victory broke apart in a brilliant flash of light. Pieces of metal and burning atmosphere scattered into space. In less than 2 seconds, a warship that had conquered 6 worlds was gone. "Impossible," Kethavar whispered. The second frigate, Starpiercer, tried to retreat. It fired its engines and began to turn away from the human ship. But the humans fired again. This time, multiple projectiles hit the frigate's engine section. The ship's power died, leaving it drifting helplessly in space. The third frigate, Thunder Bearer, managed to activate its emergency jump drive. It disappeared in a flash of blue light, fleeing to hyperspace. The bridge of the Celestial Dominion was completely silent. Officers stared at their control panels in shock. In 30 seconds, the humans had destroyed 1 frigate and disabled another. Ships that had never known defeat. Kethavar felt something he had not experienced in 200 years of conquest: fear. The silence on the bridge of the Celestial Dominion stretched for long minutes. Admiral Kethavar stared at the main screen, where the wreckage of the Swift Victory still glowed with dying fires. His officers sat frozen at their stations, afraid to speak. Finally, the communications officer broke the silence. "Admiral, the humans are sending another message." Kethavar's hands shook slightly as he gripped his command chair. "Put it through." Captain Chen's face appeared on the screen again. She looked exactly the same as before, calm, controlled, completely unimpressed by what had just happened. "Admiral," she said, "I believe you wanted to see what humans are capable of. That was a demonstration of our restraint. Your frigate could have been destroyed, but we chose to disable it. Consider this your only warning." Kethavar found his voice. "How? Your ship is primitive. Those weapons should not be able to penetrate our shields." The human captain tilted her head slightly. "Primitive? Admiral, appearances can be deceiving. We've learned that looking dangerous often causes more problems than it solves." "Your technology is impossible," Kethavar insisted. "No species has ever developed defenses like that." Captain Chen's smile was cold. "We've been fighting each other for millennia, Admiral. We've gotten very good at it." The screen went dark again. Kethavar turned to his science officer, a tall Zephyrian with deep blue scales. "Analysis. Now." I want to know everything about that ship." The science officer's hands moved quickly over his controls. Data flowed across multiple screens around the bridge. "Sir, the energy readings are unlike anything in our database. Their defensive field operates on principles we do not understand. It does not deflect our plasma weapons. It seems to neutralize them completely. And their weapons? Mass drivers, sir, but not like the primitive projectile weapons we expected. They are firing solid rounds at significant fractions of light speed. The kinetic energy is enormous." Kethvar felt a chill run down his spine. "Light speed projectiles?" "Nearly, sir. The mathematics suggest they are using some form of gravity manipulation to accelerate their ammunition. The energy required should be impossible for a ship that size." The tactical officer looked up from his station. "Admiral, I am picking up additional signals. More human ships are approaching." "How many?" "Unknown, sir. They are using some kind of stealth technology. I can detect them, but I cannot get clear readings." Kethvar walked to the main viewing window. In the distance, he could see faint shapes moving through space. They were smaller than the first human ship, but they moved with purpose. His communications officer called out again. "Sir, we are receiving transmissions between the human vessels. They are not encrypted. Can you translate?" "Yes, sir. They are coordinating attack patterns, something called wolf pack formation." Before Kethvar could ask what that meant, Captain Ni Chen's voice filled the bridge again. "Admiral, you're about to see why humans don't build single massive warships like your flagship. We learned long ago that mobility and coordination defeat size and firepower every time. More human ships became visible as they dropped their stealth fields. They were sleek and fast, built for speed rather than impressive size. There were at least 12 of them, spread out in a wide formation around the Zephyrian fleet." "Sir," the tactical officer said, "they are moving into attack positions." "All ships defensive formation," Kethvar ordered. "Prepare to engage." The Zephyrian fleet moved into their standard battle arrangement. The largest ships formed the center, with smaller vessels creating protective screens around them. It was a formation that had won 100 battles, but the humans did not attack the formation directly. Instead, they began to move in complex patterns around the Zephyrian ships. They were fast, much faster than anything in the Zephyrian fleet. When the alien ships tried to target them, the humans were already somewhere else. "They are not engaging," the tactical officer reported. "They are just moving around us." "What are they doing?" Kethvar demanded. His answer came when the first human ship fired. But it did not fire at the Celestial Dominion or any of the other large vessels. Instead, it targeted one of the smaller escort ships on the edge of the formation. The Zephyrian cruiser Starhammer exploded under the impact of multiple kinetic rounds. Before its wreckage had finished scattering, 2 more human ships attacked another escort from different angles. Kethvar realized what was happening. The humans were not trying to fight all of his ships at once. They were picking off the weaker vessels one at a time. "All ships close formation. Do not let them isolate our escorts." But it was too late. The human ships moved too fast. Every time the Zephyrians tried to protect one vessel, the humans would attack somewhere else. They were like predators hunting a herd, separating the weak from the strong. "Sir," the science officer called out, "I am analyzing their movement patterns. They are not random. Every ship knows exactly where every other ship will be at any given moment. The coordination is perfect." Another Zephyrian ship died under human fire. Then another. The humans were destroying his fleet piece by piece, and there was nothing Kethvar could do about it. "Return fire. All weapons." The Zephyrian ships opened up with everything they had. Plasma beams and particle cannons filled space with deadly energy. But the human ships danced between the shots like they knew exactly where each beam would be. Fired. "How are they avoiding our targeting computers?" Kethvar shouted. "Sir," his sensor officer said, "they are jamming our predictive systems, but it is not electronic jamming. They are using some kind of quantum interference." Another escort exploded. The humans were working their way through his fleet like a virus, killing the smaller ships while staying out of range of the larger ones. "Admiral," Captain Chen's voice came over the communications channel. Your tactical doctrine is outdated. You rely too much on brute force and not enough on adaptability. What do you want? Kethvar demanded. I want you to understand something. This battle could end in one of two ways. You can continue fighting and we will destroy every ship in your fleet. Or you can listen to what I have to tell you. Kethvar watched another of his cruisers die under human fire. They had already lost half their escort fleet. The humans had not taken a single casualty. Speak, he said. Your empire has conquered dozens of species, but you have never encountered a race like humanity. We do not fight for territory or resources. We fight because we are good at it. Every advancement in our civilization has been driven by the need to kill other humans more efficiently. The human captain paused, letting her words sink in. Your ships are built to impress enemies into surrendering. Our ships are built to destroy anything that refuses to surrender. Your weapons are designed to demonstrate power. Our weapons are designed to kill. Another Zephyrian ship exploded. The formation was falling apart as captains tried to save their own vessels. You have 40,000 years of technological advancement, Captain Chen continued. We have 40,000 years of warfare experience. Which do you think is more valuable in battle? Kethvar said nothing. He was beginning to understand that by terrible truth, the humans were not just another species to be conquered. They were something the galaxy had never seen before. They were a race that had turned war into an art form. Admiral Kethvar watched his fleet die around him. The humans moved through his ships like ghosts, appearing suddenly to deliver killing blows before vanishing again. Every few minutes, another Zephyrian vessel would explode or go dark, its crew either dead or drifting helplessly in space. Sir, his communications officer said quietly, we are receiving distress calls from the Eternal Glory. They are requesting permission to surrender. Kethvar closed his eyes. The Eternal Glory was one of his heavy cruisers, a ship that had bombarded 3 worlds into submission. Now its captain was begging to give up rather than face the human weapons. Denied, he said. No Zephyrian ship has ever surrendered. We will not start today. But even as he spoke the words, he knew they were hollow. His empire's reputation meant nothing to these humans. They fought with a precision and ruthlessness that made his stomach turn. Captain Chen's voice filled the bridge again. Admiral, I can hear your communications. Your captain wants to surrender to save his crew. That shows wisdom. Zephyrians do not surrender, Kethvar replied. Everyone surrenders eventually, the human said. The only question is how many die first. On the main screen, Kethvar could see the human ships regrouping. They had destroyed or disabled nearly half his fleet in less than an hour. Not one human vessel had been even scratched. Tell me, Captain Chen continued, what do you know about human history? Nothing. You were unknown to us until today. Then let me educate you. Humans have been at war for our entire existence. Not occasional conflicts like most species. Constant, never-ending warfare. We have fought each other with sticks and stones. We have fought with swords and shields. We have fought with gunpowder and cannons. We have fought with nuclear weapons that could destroy entire continents. Kethvar felt his throat tighten. Nuclear weapons were banned by galactic law. They were too terrible to use. Every human technological advancement has military applications, the captain went on. We discovered flight to drop bombs from the sky. We developed computers to calculate artillery trajectories. We split the atom to create bigger explosions. We reached for the stars to build orbital weapons platforms. The science officer looked up from his station. Sir, I am detecting massive energy signatures from deeper in human space. There are larger ships out there, many larger ships. Captain Chen laughed, and the sound made Kethvar's scales crawl. The Indomitable is a patrol cruiser, Admiral. It is designed for long-range reconnaissance and dealing with minor threats. It is not even close to our most advanced warship. What else do you have? Kethvar asked, though he was not sure he wanted to know. Battle cruisers that can crack planets. Dreadnoughts that carry enough firepower to sterilize solar systems. Carriers that launch fighter wings numbering in the thousands. And behind all of those, the Earth fleet. Earth fleet? 1,000 ships dedicated to defending our home world. Each one is designed around a single principle. Nothing gets through. HFY's tactical officer spoke up. Sir, I am reading the energy signatures. There are at least 50 capital ships within range, all of them larger than anything in our fleet. But that is not what should worry you, Captain Chen said. What should worry you is that we have been fighting each other for 40,000 years. Do you know what that means? HFY remained silent. It means we have tried every possible way to kill each other. Biological weapons, chemical weapons, kinetic bombardment, gravity bombs, antimatter warheads, quantum torpedoes. We have weapons you have never dreamed of because we needed them to fight ourselves. The human captain paused, letting the words sink in. Every human child learns military history in school. Every human adult serves in the military for at least 2 years. Every human engineer thinks about weapons applications. Every human doctor knows battlefield medicine. War is not something we do, Admiral. War is what we are. HFY looked around his bridge. His officers were listening to every word, their faces pale with fear. These were warriors who had conquered worlds, and they were terrified of what they were hearing. Your empire conquers other species, Captain Chen continued. But you have never fought someone who fights back with equal skill. You have never encountered a military doctrine based on the assumption that your enemy is as smart, as determined, and as ruthless as you are. Another Zephyrian ship exploded in the distance. The human ships had resumed their attacks while Captain Chen spoke, killing with casual efficiency. We call it total war, she said. Every resource dedicated to victory. Every citizen a potential soldier. Every factory a weapons plant. Every scientist working on better ways to kill the enemy. That is barbaric, HFY whispered. That is survival. On Earth, the weak species went extinct. Only the strong, the adaptable, the ruthless survived. And then the strong had to fight each other. The communications officer looked up. Sir, the humans are broadcasting something on all frequencies. It appears to be historical data. Put it on screen. Images flowed across the display. Cities burning, massive armies clashing across continents, ships battling in Earth's oceans, aircraft filling the sky like clouds of insects, nuclear explosions turning night into day. This is what human war looks like, Captain Chen said. Millions of soldiers, thousands of tanks, hundreds of warships, all fighting for control of a single world. The images changed. Space battles around Earth's moon, fleets of thousands of ships engaging each other, weapons that could destroy asteroids being used against enemy formations. And this is what happened when we took our wars to space. We learned that the universe is a hostile place. So we made ourselves more hostile than anything we might encounter. HFY stared at the images. The scale of destruction was unimaginable. These humans had fought battles involving more ships than the entire Zephyrian Navy. How many humans are there? He asked. 47 billion across 600 worlds. And every one of them knows that our survival depends on being better at war than anyone else we meet. The tactical officer's voice cracked as he spoke. Sir, long-range sensors are detecting human fleets moving toward our position. At least 200 ships. You see, Admiral, Captain Chen said, when humans detect a potential threat, we do not send a single ship to investigate. We send enough firepower to handle anything we might encounter, and then we send backup for the backup. HFY felt the walls closing in around him. His mighty fleet, which had seemed invincible just hours ago, was nothing compared to what was coming. What do you want? He asked. I want you to make a choice. You can continue this battle and watch every ship in your fleet be destroyed, or you can listen to what we offer. Speak. Go home, Admiral. Tell your empire about what you have seen here. Tell them that humans do not seek conquest. We are happy to trade, to share knowledge, to coexist peacefully. Captain Chen's voice hardened. But if your people choose war, they will find that we have spent 40,000 years becoming very, very good at it. And unlike every other species you have conquered, we actually enjoy the challenge. The bridge fell silent, except for the quiet sounds of burning ships and dying crews. Kethavar realized that everything he had believed about the galaxy was wrong. Admiral Kethavar tried to process what Captain Chen had told him, but his mind kept returning to the impossible images he had seen. Battles involving thousands of ships, cities burning under bombardment, an entire species that had turned warfare into a science. "Sir," his sensor officer called out, "I am detecting more human vessels approaching. They are coming from multiple directions." "How many?" "Unknown, sir. They are using advanced stealth technology. I can only detect them when they choose to be seen." On the main screen, new contacts began to appear. These ships were different from the Indomitable. They were smaller, sleeker, built for speed and maneuverability rather than heavy combat. But Kethavar had learned not to judge human ships by their appearance. "Destroyers," Captain Chen's voice explained. "Fast attack vessels designed for one purpose: hunting larger ships in packs." "Packs?" "Humans studied the predators of our world, Admiral. We learned that a group of smaller hunters, working together, can bring down prey much larger than themselves. Wolves, for instance." As if summoned by her words, the human destroyers began to move. They did not charge straight at the Zephyrian fleet like honorable warriors. Instead, they spread out in a wide circle, moving with coordinated precision that made Kethavar's skin crawl. "Sir," his tactical officer said, "they are surrounding us." Kethavar counted the new arrivals. 24 destroyers, each one maybe a tenth the size of his flagship. Against any other enemy, they would have been insignificant. But he had seen what human weapons could do. "All ships, prepare for combat," he ordered. "Focus fire on the nearest targets." The Zephyrian fleet turned their weapons toward the approaching destroyers. Massive plasma cannons swiveled to track the fast-moving targets, but the humans were not making it easy. The destroyers moved in complex patterns, weaving between each other like dancers. When the Zephyrians fired at one ship, it would suddenly change direction, while another destroyer fired from a different angle entirely. "They are not attacking individually," the science officer observed. "Each ship knows exactly what every other ship is doing. The coordination is perfect." One of the Zephyrian heavy cruisers, the Stellar Might, managed to lock onto a human destroyer. Its main guns fired, sending brilliant beams of energy toward the target. But at the last second, the destroyer dropped below the firing line while two other destroyers opened fire from above and behind the cruiser. The Stellar Might shuddered under the impact of kinetic rounds. Its shields held, but warning lights flashed across its bridge. "Sir," the communications officer reported, "Captain Yethmore is requesting support. His ship is taking heavy damage." Before Kethavar could respond, the human destroyer struck again. This time, 6 ships fired simultaneously at the same target. The concentrated firepower overwhelmed the cruiser's defenses. The Stellar Might broke apart in a shower of metal and fire. "Impossible," Kethavar breathed. 6 small ships cannot destroy a heavy cruiser." "They can if they know exactly where to hit it," Captain Chen replied. "Humans do not build ships to look impressive, Admiral. We build them to kill specific targets in the most efficient way possible." The destroyer pack moved on to their next victim. The Zephyrian battleship Iron Fist tried to retreat to the center of the formation, but the human ships were too fast. They surrounded it like a swarm of insects, attacking from every angle. "Why do they not fight with honor?" Kethavar demanded. "Why do they not face us in honest combat?" Captain Chen's laugh was cold. "Honor, Admiral, honor is a luxury for species that can afford to lose battles. Humans cannot afford that luxury. We fight to win, not to look good doing it." The Iron Fist exploded under the coordinated assault. Its captain had been one of Kethavar's oldest friends, a warrior who had conquered 12 worlds. Now he was dead, killed by ships he could have crushed individually. "This is not war," Kethavar said. "This is murder. War is murder, Admiral. Everything else is just politics and ceremony. Humans learned that lesson a long time ago." The destroyer pack was already moving to their next target, but now they were joined by additional ships. Human frigates appeared from behind asteroids where they had been hiding. Corvettes dropped their stealth fields and added their firepower to the assault. "Sir," the sensor officer said, I count 47 human vessels now. All of them are moving in perfect coordination. Kethavar watched the tactical display in growing horror. The human ships moved like a single organism, each part supporting every other part. When one ship was threatened, others would instantly move to protect it. When a target was identified, multiple ships would attack it from different angles. How do they coordinate so perfectly? He asked. Quantum entanglement communication, Captain Chen explained. Every human ship is in constant contact with every other human ship. Information travels instantly across any distance. We share targeting, data, threat assessments, and tactical modifications in real time. A Zephyrian destroyer tried to break free from the formation, hoping to escape the human trap, but 3 human corvettes were waiting for it. They had predicted its course and were already in position to intercept. Your ship's computer calculated the most likely escape route, Captain Chen said, as the Zephyrian destroyer died under human fire. Our computers calculated the same thing 3 minutes ago. The science officer looked up from his station. Sir, the humans are adapting their tactics in real time. Every time we try a new defensive formation, they modify their attack pattern to counter it. That is impossible. Battle tactics take hours to develop. Not for humans, Captain Chen said. We have been fighting each other for 40,000 years, Admiral. We have seen every possible tactical situation. Our computers contain the battle records of every human conflict, every mistake, every victory, every defeat. The human ships pressed their attack. They moved with surgical precision, targeting the weapons and engines of Zephyrian ships to disable them rather than destroy them. It was more terrifying than simple destruction. It showed that the humans were in complete control of the battle. Sir, the communications officer said, the Eternal Glory is requesting permission to surrender. Captain Zethkon says his ship is crippled and his crew is dying. Kethavar looked at the tactical display. The Eternal Glory was drifting powerless, its weapons destroyed, and its engines dead. The humans could finish it at any time, but they were holding their fire. They are giving us a choice, he realized. Yes, Captain Chen said. We could destroy every ship in your fleet, but that would serve no purpose except to create widows and orphans. Humans prefer to win wars without unnecessary killing. But you just said war is murder. War is murder when it has to be, but a good hunter only kills what he needs to eat. Everything else is just waste. Another Zephyrian ship, the cruiser Starfire, lost power and began to drift. The humans had targeted its reactor with surgical precision, disabling it without breaching the containment field. Your weapons are too accurate, Kethavar said. No one can target specific systems on a moving ship. Humans can, Captain Chen replied. We have been shooting at each other for millennia. We know exactly where to hit any target to achieve any desired result. The tactical officer looked up from his station. Sir, we have lost 60% of our fleet. The remaining ships are either destroyed or disabled. Kethavar stared at the tactical display. His mighty fleet, which had conquered dozens of worlds, had been reduced to scrap metal and wreckage in less than 2 hours. And the humans had done it without losing a single ship. This is not possible, he whispered. This is what happens when you fight a species that has never known peace, Captain Chen said. We do not fight to show our strength, Admiral. We fight to eliminate threats as quickly and efficiently as possible. The human ships began to regroup, forming new attack formations around the surviving Zephyrian vessels. They moved with the patience of hunters who knew their prey could not escape. What happens now? Kethavar asked. Now you choose, Captain Chen replied. You can keep fighting until every ship in your fleet is destroyed, or you can listen to what we have to offer. Kethavar looked around his bridge. His officers stared at him with desperate eyes. They were warriors, but they were not fools. They could see that continued resistance meant death. For the first time in his long career, Admiral Kethavar faced a choice no Zephyrian commander had ever faced before: surrender, or watch his entire fleet die for nothing. Admiral Kethavar stood in the ruins of his pride. Around him, the bridge of the Celestial Dominion was filled with smoke and the sound of dying systems. Half of his fleet was destroyed. The other half drifted powerless in space, their crews trapped aboard crippled ships. The humans had done this in less than 3 hours. "Admiral," his communications officer said quietly, "Captain Chen is requesting to speak with you." Kethvar nodded. He no longer had the strength to refuse. Captain Chen's face appeared on the main screen. She looked exactly as she had at the beginning of the battle. Calm, controlled, completely unaffected by the destruction around her. "Admiral," she said, "I believe we have demonstrated our point." "What point is that?" Kethvar asked bitterly. "That humans are not like other species you have encountered. We do not fight because we want to. We fight because we are very, very good at it." Kethvar looked at the tactical display. Red markers showed the locations of destroyed ships, his crews, warriors who had conquered worlds, now reduced to debris floating in space. "You could have destroyed us all," he said. "Yes," Captain Chen replied. "But that would have served no purpose. Dead enemies cannot carry messages back to their leaders." "Messages?" "I want you to return to your empire, Admiral. I want you to tell them exactly what happened here today. Tell them that humanity exists and that we are not interested in conquest." "Captain," Chen leaned forward in her chair. "Tell them that we are willing to trade, to share knowledge, to coexist peacefully with any species that approaches us with respect. But also tell them what happens to those who approach us with threats." Kethvar felt something crack inside his chest. It might have been his ribs, or it might have been his spirit. "Why?" he asked. "Why show mercy to an enemy?" "Because you are not our enemy," Captain Chen said. "You were a potential threat that had to be neutralized. There is a difference." She paused, studying his face on her own screen. "Humans have learned that the best way to end a war is to make it so costly that no one wants to fight it in the first place. Better to win one decisive battle than to fight 100 smaller ones." The science officer looked up from his station. "Sir, I am reading massive energy signatures approaching from human space. It appears to be their main fleet." On the tactical display, new contacts began to appear. Dozens of them, then hundreds. Ships larger than anything in the Zephyrian fleet, moving in perfect formation toward their location. "The Earth fleet," Captain Chen explained. "When we detected your ships entering human space, we sent word back to Earth. They decided to send a welcome committee." Kethvar stared at the approaching armada. There were more ships than his entire empire possessed. Each one was larger than his flagship. The firepower represented by that fleet could crack planets. "This is what you face if you choose war with humanity," Captain Chen said. "Not a few patrol ships like the Indomitable. The full military might of a species that has been perfecting warfare for 40,000 years. The human fleet took position around the battlefield. They did not threaten or posture. They simply existed, a silent demonstration of overwhelming force. But it does not have to be war," Captain Chen continued. "Humans are traders at heart. We prefer to build wealth rather than destroy it. We would rather have customers than corpses." She gestured toward the wreckage of the Zephyrian fleet. "This battle cost us nothing but ammunition. It cost you half your fleet and thousands of lives. Which approach do you think is more profitable?" Kethvar felt the weight of defeat settle on his shoulders. Everything he had believed about Zephyrian superiority was gone. Everything he had thought about galactic warfare was wrong. "What do you offer?" he asked. "Trade agreements, technology exchange, cultural programs, all the things civilized species do when they meet each other." "And if we refuse?" Captain Chen's smile was sad. "Then you will learn why every human child studies military history, and every human adult serves in the armed forces, and every human colony has enough weapons to defend itself against anything short of a full-scale invasion." The communications officer spoke up. "Sir, we are receiving messages from the rest of the Empire. Other fleets are reporting contact with human ships." "How many fleets?" Kethvar asked. "All of them, sir. Every Zephyrian fleet in space has encountered human vessels. They are all reporting the same thing. Overwhelming tactical superiority. Requests for immediate reinforcement." Captain Chen nodded. "When humans identify a threat, we respond to that threat comprehensively. Every Zephyrian fleet is currently facing the same choice you are facing right now. Kethvar realized the scope of what had happened. This was not a random encounter between patrol fleets. This was a coordinated response to Zephyrian expansion. The humans had been watching, planning, preparing. "You knew we were coming," he said. "We have been monitoring your empire's expansion for several years. We hoped you would eventually encounter one of our colonies and make peaceful contact. Instead, you entered our space with weapons charged and demands for surrender." Captain Chen shrugged. "So we decided to introduce ourselves properly." The tactical display showed the human fleet beginning to withdraw. Not retreating, but pulling, back to give the Zephyrians room to make their choice. "Admiral," Captain Chen said, "I am going to offer you something that no Zephyrian has ever received, a second chance." "What do you mean?" "Take your remaining ships and go home. Tell your leaders what you have learned here. Explain that humanity offers trade and friendship to those who approach us peacefully, but destruction to those who threaten us." She leaned back in her chair. "And remember this. The battle you just fought was not between your best ships and our best ships. It was between your best ships and one of our patrol cruisers with a destroyer escort. You have not yet seen what humans are truly capable of." The screen went dark. Captain Chen had ended the transmission. Kethvar looked around his bridge. His officers were staring at him, waiting for orders. For the first time in his career, he did not know what to say. Finally, he spoke. "Signal the fleet. All ships that can still move will return to Zephyrian space immediately. Send word ahead to the High Command. Tell them we have made contact with a new species." "What should we tell them about the humans, sir?" Kethvar thought for a long moment. "Tell them that we have encountered a species that makes war the way others make art. Tell them that humans do not fight to show their strength. They fight to remove obstacles." He paused, watching the human fleet disappear back into the depths of space. "And tell them that if we are wise, we will never give humans a reason to consider us an obstacle." 3 days later, Admiral Kethvar stood before the Zephyrian High Council. He delivered his report exactly as Captain Chen had requested. He told them about human technology, human tactics, and human philosophy of warfare. But most importantly, he told them about the choice humanity offered: peace, or a war they could not win. The High Council listened in silence. When he finished, the Elder Prime asked a single question. "What do you recommend, Admiral?" Kethvar thought of the wreckage of his fleet. He thought of the human ships moving like hunters through space. He thought of Captain Chen's calm voice explaining the mathematics of extinction. "I recommend we learn to be neighbors instead of conquerors," he said. Within a year, the first Zephyrian trade mission arrived at a human colony. The crews were nervous, but they were met with handshakes rather than weapons. And across the galaxy, other species began to whisper about the newcomers who had made the mighty Zephyrian Empire choose diplomacy over conquest. For the first time in centuries, there was hope that the galaxy might know peace. But there was also the knowledge that, if that peace were threatened, humanity would respond the way they always had, with overwhelming decisive force.